Can spiritual healing help anxiety? What exactly is spiritual healing anyways? Does this mean religion? People often confuse spirituality with religion, but in this video, I'm going to explain how those two things are different and what I mean by spiritual healing. It's not what you think. I'm not talking about attaching to a new guru or joining a new religion. Spiritual healing is about you, and in this video, we'll talk about how you can find a practice that works for your unique needs. And if you're asking this question, chances are that you are feeling the burdens of everyday life and longing for more, to know your place in this life and to feel like you're making a difference, and ready to dive in or go more deeply into knowing and healing your mind, body, spirit in order to live a life that feels good. For some, spiritual healing may be a good way to achieve this, and by the end of this video, you'll be able to decide if this mode of healing could work for you. At TraumaEdCo, it's our mission to help you thrive in the midst of stresses that life can bring to you, big or small. And today's video will help you dive in on just one of the many tools out there for healing, so that you can forge your own path to healing. What is a spiritual healing practice? Spiritual healing practices such as meditation, mindfulness, prayer, all of these can help reduce anxiety by promoting relaxation and a sense of calm or a sense of peace. Before I had a spiritual practice, I felt scattered and like everything in my life didn't really have a purpose or a meaning. I was just kind of doing things here and there, hoping that something would stick and hoping that I would find this so-called happiness that I was looking for in life, that I would find fulfillment. So for me, having a spiritual practice helped consolidate everything so that I could look at it and go, oh, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to be and exist in the world, and this is how I want to share my gifts. Engaging in spiritual practices can also help us with finding meaning and purpose in our lives, which reduces the feelings of anxiety and stress. You can imagine that if you don't know where you're going, then you might get confused, not knowing where to go or what to do or how to be. But with a spiritual healing practice, it's going within and finding your way here first, so that when you are out in the world, you have more confidence, you are more likely to show up as your best self because you're already feeling grounded in who you are at your very core. Spiritual healing practices can also help us as humans develop a sense of connection to something larger than ourselves, which may provide another sense of comfort and support. I had a friend who had moved back east and she didn't know where she wanted to go or what she wanted to do. She was in a relationship. She didn't know if she should leave or not. And for her, that spiritual practice within her religion that she had grown up with gave her that sense of safety and that sense of connection, knowing that no matter what choice she made, she'd be able to pull on that practice, pull on the people that also believed the same as she did, so that no matter what she chose, she was loved and she was supported. Engaging in spiritual practices may also help us as individuals develop coping skills and a more positive outlook, which can be beneficial when we are trying to manage something like stress and anxiety. So if we know that we can go home, go within, check in with ourselves, work through the day, release the emotions and the baggage of being around other people, we can go within, manage all of that extra stuff, then we start to feel like ourselves again. When we feel like ourselves again, we get to be positive, we get to be more carefree, we get to be our most valuable selves. While spiritual healing practices may be helpful for some individuals in managing anxiety, it's important to note that they are not suitable for everyone and may not be a substitute for professional treatment or anxiety disorders. So if this is feeling like something's happening in your life and it's feeling too big for you to manage on your own, it's always a good idea to speak with a mental health professional. I like to work with people who are trauma-informed, and that way if you are experiencing anything that's persistent or severe like an anxiety, then you know that you will be fully safe and in capable hands working with another person who is trained in those exact ways. So what is anxiety? When we look at anxiety, we know that it can stem from an overactive mind and a lack of purpose. When we look at spirituality, we know that there are practices like prayer and meditation which can help provide ways to calm our mind and provide direction and meaning in our life. So that overactive mind starts to become quieter and quieter. And through that practice, we can dig in to see what our life purpose might be, so that when we know what our purpose is, or when we know how we want to be in the world, then we can choose the direction, choose the path. And when we know where we're going and what to look out for, that sense of anxiety, that sense of stress can lessen. So it's no surprise that many people are looking to calm their anxiety and looking to spiritual practices. On a spiritual level, anxiety comes from forgetting about our place in the universe, and again, that lack of purpose. When we are utilizing a spiritual practice, we can again tune back into ourselves and discover what our purpose is. And then, like I said, we can forge that path with that confidence. Another aspect of anxiety is the worry and uncertainty. So spiritual practices can help us find guidance to our life purpose and clarity for our lives. You can imagine that if you know what your path is, then even if you don't know how to get to where you're going, you know what kind of questions to ask. You know which support people to pull on in order to help you find that clarity, find that purpose, and then providing another reason for that anxiety and that stress to calm itself. Again, on one hand, we have anxiety where we have worry, lack of purpose, lack of clarity, judgments coming in from other people. We feel like we don't fit in and we're not present in the moment. And even when we try to be present, we can feel like we have that imposter syndrome, that feeling of, oh, if people really knew, then they wouldn't like me or they wouldn't want me. On the spiritual healing side, we are learning about ourselves. We are connecting in. Instead of worrying about the judgment we're getting from other people, we're tapping into our own inner wisdom. And we're choosing to lead from that place of our own inner wisdom. And again, from that sense of knowing, from that sense of calm, from that sense of purpose, then the anxiety and the stress can lessen and we can show up as our best selves on a mission with a purpose, leading from that place within us that is strong and capable. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I am Shannon Ray, and this is your Ray of Sunshine. I invite you to watch the next video, How Do I Calm My Mind to Sleep? Because we know that a good night's sleep will also help ease the anxieties and stresses of the day, and again, help us lead in that way that is our most beneficial self. See you there.